Cardinal manager Tony La Russa easing the tension, working on his stroke during batting practice. And earlier today, Albert Pujols taking plenty of extra BP, trying to figure out how to get his stroke down against the Brewers. A very pleasant evening for baseball. Busch Stadium, downtown St. Louis. The Cardinals hosting the Milwaukee Brewers. Welcome to the telecast. Rick Horton alongside Al Roboski. And Al, so far the Brewers have taken the first two games of this series. The Cardinals are going to have to turn it around tonight.
That's not the way it was planned. The Cardinals were hoping to at least win this series and maybe even sweep it. Now they're trying to avoid the sweep. And I think the Brewers are convincing everyone they're a good ball club.
Couple of good games. The Cardinals have not come out on top. We've got a very good pitching matchup for you. The Cardinals will go with Chris Carpenter. More on him when we come back. Around, but one club he's had trouble with is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Really right. He's 0-2, ERA over 8, and Corey Hart's one of those guys that gets in trouble. 4 for 13, a 3.08 average for Corey Hart against Carpenter, but Carpenter has really pitched well of late, and we hope that will be more the case here tonight.
Carpenter looking for his 8th victory. The Brewers counter with their ace, Yovani Gallardo. We'll have more on him when we come back on Fox Sports Midwest. hoping for a different outcome. They're going to have to do it against one of the best pitchers in the National League, and they didn't do very well against him, Al, in May.
That's right. In May, Gallardo, who had an 0-3 record against the Cardinals, well, he threw a masterpiece. It wasn't until the 8th inning when Daniel Descalso led off the bottom of the 8th with a ground ball single to center. So he ended up with just one hit, and he is pitching tonight, trying to sweep the Cardinals.
Very good pitching matchup, Carpenter and Gallardo. First pitch, right around the corner.
In 1998, there hadn't been much of a rivalry between them and the Cardinals until recently. For 5 great Cardinal moments against the Brewers in the last 5 years, here's Rick Horton.
The St. Louis Cardinals opened their new stadium against the Brewers back on April 10th, 2006. Beautiful stadium proved to be both a hitter's and pitcher's park in its opening game, at least for Mark Mulder. The left-hander hit his first career home run in the stadium's opening game, helping St. Louis beat the Brewers 6-4. In the first game of a doubleheader against the Brewers, Ryan Ludwig's heroics helped the Cardinals pull off their biggest comeback win of the season. St. Louis scored 3 runs in the ninth, capped by Ludwig's RBI single off Brewers closer Francisco Cordero. Ryan and the Redbirds took the first of 2 that day, 7-6. It was one of the greatest mismatches in Cardinals history. Baseball's career saves leader was facing a midseason call-up with 31 career hits scattered over 2 seasons. But Nick Stavinoha, down by 1 with 1 on, went down and got Hoffman's pitch. Stavinoha's smash silenced Miller Park and sent St. Louis on their way to a 5-4 victory. It took Adam Wainwright only 1 full season to capture a World Series title with a clinching strikeout. But it took him 97 Major League starts to throw his first complete game shutout. Wainwright needed just 103 pitches to finish his gem against the Brewers. He struck out 8, walked 1, and retired the last 18 hitters he faced, helping the Cardinals to an 8-0 win. Wainwright did it in 2010. Jaime Garcia got his turn earlier this season, throwing a complete game 2-hit shutout against the Brewers as well. Albert Pujols again did his part, driving in 3 runs, but Garcia was the story. He carried a perfect game into the 8th inning and finished with a 2-hitter. dominating the punchless Milwaukee Brewers in a 6-0 win. Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the just right taste of Bud Light with a refreshing splash of 100% natural lime flavor. By Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers. By Southwest Airlines' new Rapid Rewards, unlimited reward seats and no blackout dates. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Center, #1 in quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, life needs flavor. Fans still filing in here to Busch Stadium. Final game of a 3-game series with the Brewers. Brewers looking for the sweep here tonight. Nice night for baseball. Here is the Brewers batting order, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Ryan Braun not in the lineup tonight. The veteran Mark Kotsay will be in left field. And you have to be careful with Fielder and McGee in the middle of that lineup. And the Cardinals pitcher is their veteran ace, Chris Carpenter.
And he must be an ace. He's got to stop the losing streak. He's had recent struggles against the Brewers this year, 0-2. If you go back his last 4 starts against the Brewers, go back into last year, 0-3 with an ERA over 10. But the good news is he's pitching so much better, 6-1 in his last 9 starts, 3-0 in July. Let's hope that Carpenter shows up.
And our game's first pitch is right down central, and a new look for Chris Carpenter.
Yeah, trying to change things a little bit. Doesn't like the way the uniform is cut this season, and having trouble with the uniform, sweating, and the legs, so went old school.
Nothing wrong with that. Game time 7:15, temperature 81 degrees.
And right off the bat, he gets one of his nemesis. Corey Hart has been a thorn in all the Cardinal pitchers' sides this year, but Carpenter, he's a 308 hitter. Gibson called a low strike there. That speaks good for all the pitchers. Corey Hart didn't like it.
Been very patient in this series. Hart has walked 3 times. He's also homered in game 1 of this series. Hit a long home run. And that was off of Edwin Jackson. On base 5 times.
It's done a pretty good job filling in for Ricky Weeks.
There's a bloop to right field, and Berkman will have to play it on one hop. Time to take a look at the Cardinals defense, brought to you by Dobbs. Craig, Jay, and Berkman in the outfield. Freeze for Carl. Terrio gets the start tonight at second base. Pujols at first. Carpenter and Molina behind the plate.
No Holiday again in left field, and Tony was telling us that he had not checked with the trainers yet to know whether he'll be available to pinch hit. So Alan Craig gets his second consecutive start since coming off the DL.
Nice to have Alan Craig back. Niger Morgan bunted in this situation yesterday. He does it again. This time he pops it up. And there's a break for the Redbirds. Yadier Molina. Johnny on the spot.
Yesterday he was perfect with that, dropping that bunt down, and it's a different story here today.
Bad angle, maybe not.
Yeah, a little different
right.
Bad angle. Is kind of hooked the ball yesterday and made it sure it went down. Sure hands with Yachty. And now it's Katse, different than Braun. Braun is available to pinch hit. They said it just they were going to give him a scheduled day off this week, and just didn't like the way he was swinging the bat and didn't have good numbers against Carpenter, so this was the day.
Line drive to left, down the line, and it is a fair ball into the corner. Bounces around, picked up by Alan Craig. Hart rounds third. He's going to score, and Katse, playing for Ryan Braun, delivers in the first.
Well, the veteran comes through, and just like yesterday, are the Milwaukee Brewers going to take the home crowd right out of it in the first inning? Couldn't, right on the line, and then it didn't bounce up and go into the stands, so it's still a fair ball. See Corey Hart pick up his third base coach. He'll come circle the bases. The Brewers are up by one. Look at this, Ricky. Right on the line, and then it bounces up and hits the railing, so it stays still in play.
So a couple of breaks for the Brewers. Katse had only been 1 for 7 in his career against Carpenter, so again, odd that you put him in that third spot, but it works for Ron Renneke. Curveball. Strike one, and it's a low strike to Prince Fielder.
Katse had in July had a 9-game hitting streak, and since then only 6 for 32. So
there's a line drive to center field, and it's going to get down. Katse is going to score, and it's 2-0 Brewers. Prince Fielder with RBI number 88. In this game, starting a little bit like the ball game we saw here last night.
You I don't think you can ever question bringing Carpenter into a game. And there you see the location and the big swing by the potential free agent. Katse sees it's down. He just puts his head down and runs. Carpenter throwing on his normal day rest, and they skip Loesch. Now Carpenter is your ace, but his numbers not exactly like it's the matchup that you want to see him come in here and face the Brewers, and so far looks like we should have used Loesch.
So far,
and that's a big so far.
And that decision, Al, might have been different had Kyle Loesch been pitching well his last 5 outings, been on a roll, then maybe you don't worry about skipping him, but he's certainly shown some signs of maybe needing that extra day's rest.
Yeah, and I think it did make perfect sense to give him rest and find out if that finger is kind of activated a little bit. And you know, just like Westbrook, he really picked it up and allowed the Cardinals a chance to come from behind. There's Holiday. We didn't see him at all yesterday, so that's a better sign. But Westbrook really battled in that ball game and gave his teammates a chance to win.
1-2 to Casey McGee. You mentioned Carpenter's numbers, Al, against the Brewers. You mentioned the last 4 starts. There's those numbers again. ERA over 10.
It goes back into last season. This year he's 0-2 with an ERA over 8, and even worse the last 4. And it's just strange. He handles everybody else in the Central, but Milwaukee.
Loop single to right by Corey Hart, and Mark Kotze hits the left field line over in the corner, and so perhaps it's not been hit around hard necessarily, but the Brewers finding holes. There's a curveball hit on the ground to the left side. Freeze to his left for 1 on to first base. And the Cardinals turn a double play in the first. They did it last night. They trailed last night. Time for them to hit. Early lead for the Brewers, 2-0. That's Aggie Siriati. First face we see when we get to the ballpark every day. I understand those flowers are from Bobby Knight, who was here at the ballpark.
Goes to prove to you that she is the sweetest and the best.
She brought out the best in Bobby Knight.
Oh, yeah. That Bobby Knight was on his knees giving her flowers. But Aggie really is she is priceless and part of the experience for us, for Cardinal baseball.
Always in a good mood, too.
Oh, yeah. She always brings a smile to our face and cheers us up. Hopefully can cheer up all Cardinal Nation. We need to get to Gallardo.
You put her in the dugout.
Can she hit?
Probably. 1-1 to Rafael Furcal. His average at 206. And he hits his ball deep to right. It's going to stay fair. Down the line, and it is gone. Rafael Furcal goes deep here in the first, and it's 2-1 Brewers. How about that?
He was 2 for 5 off of Gallardo, but there was a no-doubter as he hit that one deep into the second level. Second portion of the lower level, but just ball mislocation, got a belt tie on the inside, and he jumps all over. His 3rd home run overall, first as a Cardinal.
Great look on our Foxmo of him keeping his hands inside the ball.
It kind of changes everybody's tone a little bit. Nice job by LaCroix to pull that ball up, as it was below the strike zone, but we're going to see a low strike zone. Pitcher should take advantage of it. That home run was so good. We need to see it again, don't we?
Well, we only get to count it once, Al.
Oh.
405 feet from Rafael Furcal. John Jay strikes out. He chases a breaking ball. One out in the Cardinal first. That brings in Albert Pujols.
Oh, Jack Clark. Look at Jack Clark there.
How about that, Jack Clark?
The ripper.
He came close to catching that ball.
He gets a chance to see what it looks like. What he did 300 plus times, right?
I love Jack Clark. Had a big smile on his face there. He's still such a great fan of the game. Loves the Cardinals. Knows the Cardinals were good to him. And in some ways, he would have liked to have stayed a Cardinal longer.
Oh, sure.
This ball hit deep to center field. Back goes Morgan. He's to the wall, and this ball is gone. Albert Pujols has tied the game. Home run number 28.
Ties Lance Berkman for a #1 spot in the National League, the home run department. A lot of early hitting for Albert and Molina, and it paid off for that line drive out into left center. Hanging breaking ball. Albert hits it hard. Remember, he hit it hard yesterday. First time up, got a sac fly. This time he just gets it in to the first row of the seats, just over the wall. Maybe the Cardinals got a little fight tonight.
I wonder what former Cardinal is sitting over there.
Yeah.
Brings in Lance Berkman. Berkman had the night off last night against Randy Wolf. He had poor career numbers against Randy Wolf, but I think a lot of Cardinal fans would have liked to have seen him in the lineup anyway, Al, especially after Matt Holliday was not able to make the start with his injury that he suffered while lifting weights.
Well, you know, you got to give Tony credit. You know, it was kind of a scheduled off day for him, and he didn't alter his schedule and put him in. He'd been playing an awful lot of late. Let's just hope it pays off.
Well, not yet. Strikeout of Berkman. 2 outs in the first. Cardinals have picked up a couple of runs. Here's the rest of the Cardinal lineup. You've already seen the first 4. They'll be followed by David Freese, Alan Craig, Yadier Molina, Ryan Theriot, and Chris Carpenter against Gallardo.
Well, he's having a lot of success with his fastball. His curveball is his out pitch, and a lot of times he'll get it to be a called strike. And of course, his bat, he's a .222 career hitter with 9 home runs. That's a franchise leader by a pitcher. He can help himself to what is already a very strong batting order.
Definitely have to be careful with him. David Freese.
We'll take a home run from David. Home run, strikeout, home run, strikeout. We'll take that.
It's a nice little progression.
Sorry, Alan Craig, you get a strikeout, but
it's okay. We'll take it.
Get the home run, you can break the jinx.
The defense behind Gallardo. Kotze again getting the start in left. Morgan and Hart are the other outfielders. McGee, Betancourt, Lopez, and Fielder on the infield. Lucroy and Gallardo, the battery. Well, nice answer for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the first inning. Certainly the Brewers have had so much momentum. A couple of runs off of Carpenter in the top of the first, and his teammates answer in the bottom.
And sometimes, you know, as a pitcher, you get your teammates come back like that for you, you know, then that gives you that instant where you know it's back on your shoulders, where you've got the responsibility. Okay, guys, thank you. Now I'll take care of it, and go out there and throws up a bunch of zeros.
It's almost like you want to honor that effort.
Absolutely. He is the ace, and he's got some big shoulders.
2-out walk to David Freese. Brings brings in Alan Craig. Craig missed 54 games with the fractured knee. Pujols home run, by the way, Al, the same exact distance as Furcall's 405 feet.
As long as it gets over the wall. Really doesn't matter, does it?
Sure doesn't.
Of course, we have never thrown a monster home run that they talk about years and years, decades later.
I'll have to think about it. Probably have. Popped up on the right side. Fielder gets under it and retires Alan Craig. But the Cardinals strike in the bottom of the first. Furcal does it to lead it off. Then Albert does it to left center. We're tied after one. Are red hot. The last 14 games are 13-1, and they've done it both offensively and they've done it from the mound. 5.6 runs, and the ERA also very good for Ron Renicky, and I think he's done a nice job of pulling this team together. A talented team that maybe didn't know how to fully win and compete, and he's done a nice job of leading these guys.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't quite understand why we say they don't know how to win with class. And at times they would get under their skin a few years ago, taking out the shirts. The one time one fielder, like the bowling pins all fell down when he jumped on home plate after a game-winning walk-off win, and little things that were kind of disrespecting the opposition. And Renicky's got him playing very, very well.
Carpenter misses inside to Betancourt, and those kinds of things, Al, always come back to bite you. When you kind of do that, you show up the other team, and all of a sudden you start to doubt things when people start to put the pressure back on you, and then you fold. And I think that's what's happened to the Brewers the past couple of years. True,
and I think a lot of people still feel that they're going to have a downward spell after they leave here, and of course the Cardinals are going to have to take advantage of that. It will have 6 more games head-to-head with the Brewers.
Ground ball to left side. It's going to be a tough play for Furcal, and he boots it. And I'm not sure he could throw out Betancourt anyway.
Well, he would have a chance with his cannon, but obviously it's a base hit because it would have taken an exceptional play. It hits him more up in the palm of the hand rather than in the webbing, but he has a terrific cannon that if he could have set himself, it would have been a close play.
Brewers have had an injury to their pitching staff. We've talked about the Cardinals losing Lance Lynn. He was hurt in this series on the 15-day disabled list now with a left oblique. There's a bunt back to Carpenter, and it's a hard one. It should get to at least the lead runner at second base, and he he does. The bunt was a little bit too hard.
They've had some pretty good success and good fundamentals in the series, but here they've had 2 failed bunt attempts. Of course, one was bunting for a base hit, that time the sacrifice. Felipe doesn't do the job.
And you like getting that lead runner, don't you?
Yes, you do.
We talked about the Milwaukee injury. Chris Narveson actually hurt himself. I believe he was working on his glove.
He was working on the laces of his glove, probably putting new laces in and using a pair of scissors, and apparently, you know, cut his hand. And he was scheduled to make the start tomorrow. That obviously will not happen.
He went on the disabled list, and a new reliever was called up, Frankie De La Cruz. There's a fly ball to center field, hit off the end of the bat. Handled by John Jay.
2 outs now, the runner at first, but as we said, pay attention to Gallardo.
You almost, Al, when you're facing a pitcher that can hit, there are times where you get a little bit too respectful of him.
Yeah.
You know, he's still not as good a hitter as Ryan Braun, right? So you're going to pitch to him anyway, but you just don't want to when we mean be careful, we just mean don't throw it down the middle and think he's not going to be swinging.
Right, you just don't lay it in there. You saw his numbers this year, career .222 hitter with 9 career home runs.
He had 4 home runs last year, 25-year-old right-hander from Mexico. An all-star
we're getting some pretty good pitching from Mexico right now, aren't we?
Jaime Garcia. Also
Salas,
25. Salas, right around that age, he may be 26.
There's Sanchez there, who has at least started doing a throwing program.
That was good news.
Yeah.
Got both of the rookie pitchers out. They're kind of sitting in the sun.
They're just kind of enjoying this whole atmosphere.
It's their day in the sun, isn't it?
Their day in the sun. Enjoy it. He's probably the best hitting pitcher you can think you faced.
Fastball misses. There was a pitcher for the Pirates,
Donnie Robinson.
Donnie Robinson.
I was going to say that'd be one of them. Yeah, I would say Rick Rhoden. Of course, George Brett's older brother, Ken, was a very good hitting pitcher.
Cardinals have had some pitchers that can hit. Gibson and Force come to mind. 2-out walk to the pitcher, and perhaps maybe being a little bit too fine with a pitcher that can hit. Now he's got to face Corey Hart, the top of the order. Hart singled and scored in the first.
And that's one of those you got to guard against getting too mad at yourself and then make a careless mistake throwing a pitch right down the middle to the next hitter. It's a pretty good pitch there.
Where you're getting at the emotions of a player in the midst of the game and the highs and the lows that you feel throughout.
And 2 pairs of shoes, too. 2 different shoes. Aren't they? Those are 2 different shoes.
Well, he's got the tough toe on the shoe on the right.
But I mean, they're both Nike, but you got this white band here, maybe they are the same. With the tough toe there, kind of covers up some of the white. I think they're 2 different pairs.
Well, he's got a black stripe and a white stripe.
Yep.
The black stripe is certainly bigger on one foot. What's going on with Mr. Carpenter?
He said he got a bunch of new shoes.
The shoes make the man. Bottom of the second, 2-2 from Busch. Our score. Cardinals and the Brewers. You can follow every Cardinals game through Game Connect on FoxSportsMidwest.com. As you watch the game on TV, you can join the conversation about the game on Twitter. Track trends and stats. Game Connect, brought to you by Jack in the Box. Find it at FoxSportsMidwest.com. Definitely want to check out Game Connect. A lot of fun things. If you haven't tried it yet, encourage you to go to FoxSportsMidwest.com. Yadier Molina.
You find it for me and I'll try it.
I will do it, Al. 293 for Molina. Nice season offensively.
13-game hitting streak. He also was out early with Pujols, taking extra hitting around a little after 3 o'clock this afternoon. You can never accuse these guys of not working.
There's a hard hit ball to center field. Morgan's back. He's on the track and he makes the play right up against the center field wall. Cardinals getting a lot of distance here tonight.
Niger's got great speed, runs back there, plays with a certain flair. And I've seen a lot of T-plush shirts here in St. Louis today, and yes, this couple days. Nice to see Milwaukee is traveling well. We've had a lot of fans that started the last couple of years starting to come to St. Louis, and they're one of their favorite destinations.
And you've got to give them credit. It's a nice atmosphere at their ballpark. When we see the Cardinals there as visitors, they're very cordial at the ballpark. It's a very friendly place to be, and they've got a nice young crowd there supporting their Brewers. And a nice crowd here tonight.
And talking about the crowd, we got plenty of seats available this weekend when Colorado comes in town.
A couple of reminders about that series in terms of game time in case you missed it. Curveball, and it's a beauty to Terrio, 1-2.
Terrio had a strong defensive game at second base last night and has good numbers against Gallardo. 5 for 13. gets another start at second base here today.
Saturday start, Al, is at 6:15. That is a game time change from the original time. So Saturday's game 6:15, Sunday's 7:09. Sunday's now a night game. And that's the Colorado series, 7:15, the normal time on Friday night. Plenty of seats available for all three of those games. Really good seats. Very nice dynamic deals. $20 pavilion seats available for Saturday's game.
Giving a little time as the catcher got a foul tip.
And now you're talking about Terrio playing. Skip Schumacher hasn't hit Gallardo very well either. And I know a lot of folks would think, why not Schumacher, a lefty, against the right-hander Gallardo? And I think you've just answered that.
Well, 214 against 385. And like I said, he had a real strong game defensively. Terrio yesterday. You can think along most of the time with Tony's decisions.
We had a nice feature on the Cardinal pitchers and their ability to hit, and that was for before our game yesterday. And Dan Hyatt, Jim Hayes did a great job with that.
They really did. And Carpenter and Loesch did a good job of acting, but
pretending like they know how to hit. Although Carpenter has hit better. I am told that he took Cal Eldred deep today in batting practice.
So what? It's Cal Eldred.
Well, join the club.
It's an old guy. A real old guy, Eldred.
Cal's done that before, too, by the way. There's the numbers.
The numbers. Kyle Loesch says he's a 2-for-2 day away from catching Carpenter.
And the other possibility is that Carpenter will drop and catch him.
Correct.
1-2-3 inning for Gallardo against the bottom of the Cardinals order. Morgan, Kotze, and Fielder when we come back. Visit cardinals.com/homeplate to sleep at home plate in a Westin Heavenly Bed during the 2011 Cardinals campout. Bid now for your chance to win, courtesy of the Westin St. Louis.
Now that's about the only way I could get my wife to go camping. I want to take my grandkids, you know, and go camping and everything else, and she's going, you know, where's the nearest Westin?
That's how you do it. You enter for your chance to win. Bid now.
So that's pretty cool. Dan Kaplan and his group going to bring over one of the Heavenly Beds. And speaking of grandkids.
I've got a former teammate, former roommate who is a new grandfather today. Congratulations to Ken Daly and his daughter Sarah and her husband Chris Turley, who had their first child today. His name is Dax. 5 pounds, 9 ounces. Congratulations to Sarah and Chris, and of course Ken and Jill, the grandparents. And I don't really know that many people old enough to be grandparents, Al, but Ken Daly is one as of today.
I got a 15-year-old grandson.
Oh yeah.
But Kenny was also a teammate of mine.
Was he?
Yeah, in Atlanta, when former #1 draft pick with Atlanta Braves towards right at the end of my career. And remember Jill, his high school sweetheart. And I owe a big apology to Sarah.
You do?
The night of her wedding is when June fell and tore up her knee. So we didn't make it.
It was a beautiful ceremony. Congratulations to the Turley. Mark Kotze. Ball 3. We saw Darryl Strawberry at the Albert Pujols event, and he said to a group of people that were asking him about the Cardinals teams of the past, and he said Ken Daly is one of the most underrated players that he's ever seen. He said he was outstanding, and he's right. 4-pitch walk. Prince Fielder takes a curveball low. Fielder singled and drove in a run in the first.
You know, one of the things is there's a national broadcast today, so we have longer commercial breaks, and that is something that just drives Carpenter crazy. He thinks the normal breaks are too long, but then the extra 30 seconds is, you know, and that might have been what he was talking to the home plate umpire. He's worked out a deal with the second base umpire who has the stopwatch, that they actually will tell him when it's close to coming back so he can make his final warm-up pitch.
Ground ball to second. Hard hit. Terrio took for a call and over to Albert. Inning-ending double play. Second time the Cardinals have turned one tonight. Fans enjoy that. 2-2. Cardinals host the Colorado Rockies. Be one of 25,000 fans to receive a Cardinals team banner, compliments of Coke Zero and Walmart. Show your Cardinals spirit by displaying it in your home or office. To ensure your tickets to this game, visit Cardinals.com. Rafael Furcal. Furcal homered in the first inning. Really gave the Cardinals a jolt. Now they had given up 2 runs in the top of the first. Chris Carpenter giving up 3 hits, a couple of runs. And it was nice to get those runs back in a hurry, and Furcal got it started with a 405-foot home run down the right field line.
Yeah, just kind of, brought everybody back. Felt like, okay, the Cardinals were going to put a little fight in there, and then Pujols hit his home run to tie it. Carpenter still struggling a little bit, but coming up with a big pitch when he needs it with those 2 double plays.
That ground ball was eating up Felipe Lopez right off the bat of Rafael Furcal. You could just see that coming. Did not look comfortable at all. Wasn't sure whether to charge it or not, and Furcal is aboard.
And it looked like he kind of laid back on it, and then you're at the mercy of the hop.
Flat-footed.
Yeah, he hit him right on the knee. Missed his glove and got him on the left knee.
Cardinals need to make that hurt. Lopez makes his first error as a Brewer, his 4th of the season. John Jay takes the signs from Oquendo. Brewers have won 13 out of their last 14 games, and they are 18-7 since the All-Star break. Hit and run a possibility here. Jay squared to bunt. Took the pitch high. And now a good pitch count. 4 hit and run out. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1.
It seemed like the old standard, the 2-1 and some of the things that we used to always say was a hit and run count. I said they became too predictable that nobody ever does anymore now. I think you get away with it again. And I was talking with Mark McGuire the other day, and he says, it's nice to see we've got a little bit of speed. And he was even saying, I hope Tony would start utilizing these runners, get these runners moving a little bit, have something going.
And not just the stolen base. The Cardinals last in the National League. Hit and run. Right.
Just a little movement on the base paths, and I think it always excites the Cardinal crowd.
Good lead. Not going. Ball 2. Maybe here. Furcal does have 5 stolen bases.
Gallardo has good enough control, and that's one of the factors that goes into Tony's decision, is can a guy throw enough strikes for a hit and run.
Ground ball to the left side. McGee has to wait for Lopez to get there, and that slows down the double play attempt. And Jay is safe at first. The all-or-nothing Cardinals.
Now, there are times where you didn't have much speed, so you really were dependent on the home run. But now you have a little more speed with this ball club. You still have the home run hitters. And I think this is kind of like what McGuire and what we're talking about is, even with Albert up there, is, with the protection you have behind him when you normally have Holiday, you can have the running game going a little bit more.
Only thing I can think on that double play, Al, is that Lopez was playing Jay so much to pull he wasn't able to get to the bag in time.
Well, or possibly that ball that Furcal hit that went off his left knee, the inside of the knee, might be stiffening up a little bit. and he was a little slow and late in covering.
So a break for the Cardinals. Jay the runner at first. Albert Pujols homered in the first inning along with Furcal. His 28th, tying Lance Berkman for the National League lead. Good pitch to hit. He fouls it off. One more look at that double play attempt.
Well, see where he is located there, and it really was a hard hit ball. He kind of is going around there, so he's going to kind of, get his body to where he could turn to make a more effective throw. But it's the delay in getting there that might have cost the difference, and Jay hustling down the line.
1-2 to Albert.
So much was made before this series about Tony saying don't pitch Albert inside if you don't have the command, and then Ron Renicky saying, hey, sorry, we've had success pitching him there, that's where we're going to go. It's almost backfired against Tony because they haven't pitched him inside that much, and he's been looking inside and they're pitching him away.
Another base hit for Albert. Jay's going to go to third, and 2 line drives in this game already for Albert. And he looks locked in, and I guess that early BP is paying some dividends.
Well, he wasn't happy with himself at all.
There's John Jay getting a good jump, and he will be safe at third, safe and secure, New York Life.
Albert Pujols had always hit Milwaukee very well until this year. And coming in tonight, it was a 119 average. And we know that's not Albert Pujols.
It is not.
They've done a great job, but somehow I think, like Tony challenged someone to a bet.
Ground ball up the middle. Base hit, Berkman. And the Cardinals take the lead 3-2. Lance Berkman delivers.
It's the first lead the Cardinals have had in the last 29 innings against Milwaukee.
They have the shift on, and you worried for a second that that ball might hit off the mound and hop right into the glove of Betancourt. But the top spin gets right through the hole and up the middle for a base hit.
Betancourt might have stopped it.
Right.
But Tony was challenging somebody. You think Albert's not going to hit these guys? Well, there's 6 more games after this, and I think that average won't be 119, and it won't be in the 100s either when it's all said and done.
And maybe even an outside chance of still batting 300 this year. It'd be tough.
It's going to be real tough. Real tough. Albert, I guess his hand's feeling so good, not wearing that protected brace on the wrist where he had the fracture.
Ground ball to short. Backing up is Betancourt to second for 1 and on to first. And our third double play of the night. The Cardinals have turned 2 of them, but Albert drives in another run. for either Al or myself, you can go to carsoup.com/Cardinals. Send us your email to booth questions. We'll be glad to look at those. Albert Pujols in the middle of that run in the Cardinal third inning. Picked up his second hit. Lance Berkman with the RBI in that third inning. And it's 3-2 Cardinals. Chris Carpenter enjoying that first Cardinal lead that they've had in quite some time against the Brewers. Make it stick.
That's it. You know, shutdown inning. Teammates got you the lead. Now, your responsibility to shut down the opposition. Keep that momentum on your side. Good friend Ray Burrows watching down in Southern Illinois. Big Saluki fan.
Curveball has popped up. David Freese makes the play in foul territory, out number one, and he handles Casey McGee, who's been a thorn in the Cardinals' side.
Well, Betancourt's one of these guys that you can't discount. He's come up with some big hits against the Cardinals.
And if you can make the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th batters have offers, it just seems as if those middle of the order guys aren't coming up as often, and that's of course a fact. You walk them, you get an error, you give up a scratch hit, that means you're going to have to face fielder that much more.
I have so much experience starting one time in the big leagues, but all through the minor leagues. But yeah, you really do got to concentrate when you get towards the end of the order, and those are they're down there for a reason. But if you can really have those guys have an offer, it's a good formula for your victory. First couple guys are on base guys. Guys in the middle of the pack are going to be the guys that do a lot of damage and drive them in. So shut down the back end.
Similar to the philosophy as a team to beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Yes. If you can play 500 against the good ball clubs, but you have to dominate against sub 500 teams. Rarely can you win and not have success against bad teams.
Jams Betancourt, and it's going to drop for a hit in front of Alan Craig.
2 for 2, and there's been a lot of hits already. Of their 5 hits, that's been about almost 4 of them. Been of that variety where either a jam shot or off the end of the bat, or they find a hole, but really not really stinging the ball.
And you look at the score, Al, 3-2 Cardinals, and you might have guessed when you saw the pitching matchup of Gallardo and Carpenter that could be a good final score, perhaps. And it still may be.
Sure.
But 5 runs early. We've seen 9 hits. Carpenter has a couple of walks. Gallardo's walked a batter. So plenty of base runners here early on. Curveball blocked by Molina.
Carpenter was real happy with his curveball in his last start in Florida.
Part of the reason he was able to strike out 7.
Sure, and he was looking forward to having that same curveball bringing into this start. Left-handed batters usually throws a really effective cutter. His velocity has been real good all season long.
Sure has. 2-1 to Felipe Lopez. Tried to bunt, sacrifice variety. First plate appearance unsuccessfully, so he reached on the fielder's choice. He's ahead in the count now, 3-1.
Carpenter, such a mainstay with this ball club. His contract is up after this year. The Cardinals do hold a big option.
Hard to imagine him not being a Cardinal.
Right. And he would like to be a Cardinal and like to finish his career as a Cardinal. And I'm sure that they could maybe not pick up the option. It's for $15 million. There's $1 million buyout, and then maybe come up with a, an agreement that's a little bit less, and say we need that money to help sign Albert. Third walk of the night.
Unusual for Carpenter.
Very.
Cardinals have already turned a couple of double plays. They did it in the first and the third. And Carpenter does not have his 1-2-3 inning against the bottom of the order. McGee popped out, but then a base hit for Betancourt. Now walk to Lopez, and more work to do for Carp.
You see his idea is just to frustrate him, because we're going to have hit into a whole bunch of double plays tonight. I'd rather have him just get him out.
I'm with you. Carpenter's hung a few curveballs in this inning. Hung one to McGee, got away with it.
A lot of times, and you know better than I, a guy that had a curveball, but you keep on working at it. Eventually, you find that release point's the good one.
Hops him up. Albert towards the Cardinal dugout, makes the play. It's like anything else, Al, with the curveball, you search for the right release point. You pull it down too much and it's in the dirt, then you pull it down too soon and you flip it and it stays high. Might have been a cutter.
Yeah, it looked like a cutter, and I think he's thankful that that ball ended up where it did. Could have been a lot more damage.
It's like the classic problem a golfer has: when they slice, then they hook, they slice, then they hook. Trying to find that right middle ground. That's pretty close, although that one hung a bit.
Well, it ended up on Fox tracks. You don't recommend that, but from our vantage point, it looked pretty good, and especially when it fools the pitcher and he backs up and doesn't swing. Good pitch there, just off the plate, but enticed the hitter to swing at it.
Wants to get together with Molina. He gives him the sign that we're going to go through the signs one more time, and they settle on that pitch. It was a good decision. Milwaukee strands 2, 3-2 Cardinals. It's the perfect reason to watch the Cardinals play the Rockies. Sunday, August 14th, 12,000 fans ages 15 and under will receive a bear honoring Stan Musial. That's this Sunday with paid admission. Tickets to that ball game on Sunday, and reminding you again, it's a 7:09 start. You can go to Cardinals.com. A lot of tickets available this weekend. Come out to the ballpark, root on the Cardinals. The Redbirds trying to catch the Milwaukee Brewers. They dropped the first 2 games of this series. They're beginning play tonight, 5 games behind Milwaukee, and you know that's starting to get a little bit uncomfortably high, Al, but 5 is certainly not anything to panic about.
No, and you can eliminate one of those games with a victory here tonight, and you still do have 6 games head to head, but you don't want to fall further behind.
Cardinals made an announcement today, or let it out at least, that Arthur Rhodes will be signed and will join the team tomorrow. Veteran left-hander.
He's somebody that the Cardinals have coveted for several years now. His numbers appear to be still very effective.
Long drive to right, hard is back. He is at the track and makes the play.
But you know, he was with the Texas Rangers, a playoff bound team. And you kind of wonder why they, you know, chose to get rid of a veteran guy that's been so effective for so many years. You know, that's my only question. But the numbers look like he's still pitching well, and what, he's in his 40s now.
Nice to have 2 left-handers in that bullpen.
And that's a big plus, and I mean, they just, you know, before going to Texas, he was with Cincinnati, and you know, Cardinals were the finalist. I guess the loser in that 2-team race, but he will be a welcome sight.
1-1 to Yadier Molina. 13-game hitting streak on the line here tonight. Batting average at .292. Game number 118 for the Cardinals here tonight. Means there are 42 games left, Al.
Well, I remember last season when we left on this day, when we left Cincinnati after the brawl and the Cardinals moved into first place. You know, a game ahead of Cincinnati, and then we end up losing by 5 games. So it can be made up. There's plenty of time, and not only do you have to beat Milwaukee, but you're going to have to beat other ball clubs too, and you're going to have to hope for a little help.
One of the things the Brewers have done a really good job at this season is win games in the division. They're 33-18, 15 games over 500.
It's hard to win your division if you don't have the best record in the division. That old baseball adage is streaks follow streaks. They're in a good streak now, so look for a bad one at some point.
The NFL is back, and Fox coverage begins with a preseason special as the Buccaneers head to Kansas City to take on everybody's favorite, the Chiefs. Coverage begins on Friday, August 12th at 7 p.m. in high definition, only on Fox.
A lot of high hopes for the Chiefs this season.
Now, my favorite happens to be the Rams, but I understand we have some folks in our truck that like the Chiefs as well.
Well, we just got to appease them. And now that I've appeased them, then I'll just remind Mike Helling that there was a lot of high hopes for the Kansas City Royals this year too.
Oh, that hurts right there. Watch out. Speaking of Mike Helling, his daughter Aubrey getting married on October 8th.
Congratulations.
And another well-wishing kind of comment for our great friend and one of my favorites and yours as well, Jay Randolph, who I know is watching tonight, part of our crew. He does some features for us, and we just want to wish him the best.
Speedy recovery, right? Nothing serious.
Nothing serious.
Don't make anybody panic.
3-1 to Ryan Theriot. Low strike. Full count now to Ryan Theriot. Carpenter will bat next.
You know, Pittsburgh still has a chance to make a statement in the Central Division. And the Cardinals have games with them, and Milwaukee has at least a home and away with them.
Milwaukee's last 3 games, and you know what might be interesting about those games is the Pittsburgh Pirates may be, if they're out of it by then, which certainly could happen, they may be playing to play 500 in those games.
Sure.
So they may have.
They're going to be playing hard all the way
you
through.
You bet they will. They have great incentive to not finish below 500. What is it, 17 years in a row?
18.
18. Who's counting?
Yeah.
I know they are in Pittsburgh. 3-2. Popped up. Trying to get out of play. And it does. Look at the mechanics of Giovanni Gallardo.
And the high leg kick, and then he kind of throws the glove at you for a little deception.
A little Marichal there.
Yeah. Not quite as stylish as Juan, but of course he's Mexican versus Dominican.
This ball is hit hard to left. Kotze, not sure he sees it. Now he does. And he retires Theriot. Go to the 5th. Cardinals by 1. To start planning your next Missouri getaway. This is the City Garden. Combination of world-class public art and beautiful landscaping, and it's in a downtown setting. The St. Louis City Garden is unique among cultural attractions throughout the country. You'll find fountains, lighting, beautiful lighting, cafe with outdoor seating, world-class sculptures by internationally renowned artists. The City Garden.
You were just asking about that the other night.
We were.
The headless man. He's walking around here someplace.
Very proud of our city. Well, the visitors love to come here. Times where they complain about the August heat, but today would not be one of those days, Al. Nice temperatures here. Game time temperature at 81. I think it's cooled off a bit since then.
I was outside by the pool reading the paper today and wishing it would have been a couple more degrees warmer.
I'm not going to go that far.
Now I think we'll get our wish.
Yeah, right. Careful what you wish for. The 0-2. This misses the outside corner. A good cutter there for Carpenter. He uses a combination of the curveball, which is more over the top and breaks down, and the cutter, which breaks a little more side to side. When he's pitching well, both are effective.
And still, 93, 94 with the fastball. And I think his velocity has been better this year than the last couple years. He said he's been strong all year. Fastball away. Done it right in the middle of the plate, but Hart didn't get around on it. Uncharacteristic. Carpenter's already walked 3 in this game. There's the cutter.
And misses his spot, but gets his result. Strikeout number 2 for Carpenter. It's time for our AT&T trivia question. What was the last season Albert Pujols did not tie for or lead the Cardinals in intentional walks? You're not going to get this one, Al. I'm just going to tell you right now.
Okay. 2003, Mike Matheny had 16.
I get the sneak peek on these. That's not really fair.
You know who was second on the team in intentional walks this year?
Probably an 8th place hitter.
Descalso.
I wouldn't pitch to him either, and I wouldn't pitch to Mike Matheny. How about that? Mike Matheny led the team in intentional walks, and he was on the team with Albert Pujols. Now that's a story to tell your grandchildren. They were more afraid of me than Albert.
Look at this. Another one of those little leaders. Quail, flare, whatever you want to call it.
Nigel Morgan calls it a base hit to left.
Yeah, and it looks like a line drive in the box score, but Sal Carpenter earlier in the season was leading the league in hits allowed, but many times they were of that variety.
Good speed at first in Morgan. Doesn't run an awful lot. In fact, the speed of the Brewers not in the lineup tonight. Ryan Braun,
Ricky Weeks,
and you also would throw in Carlos Gomez, who's on the disabled list for them. He's also a speedster.
Ron day off. He's available to pinch hit.
There's a strike, and I would have to say, Al, that think what you may about Nigel Morgan, but when Gomez went out, he was going to be their center fielder. They had a vacuum, and when they made the deal to get Nigel Morgan, I think that made this club that much better.
I agree, and and he brings kind of a flair and energy, and we kid about his alter ego, T plush, and everything else, but the one thing, he can play baseball.
Not only does he bring personality to the club, he brings more than one personality.
Right. Good point.
Check swing.
Pitchers love to do that to hitters. Kotze hurt Carpenter in the first. He doubled in a run, the first run of the game, and Prince Fielder drove him in with a single.
Not going, and a base hit to left. Pass to diving David Freese. It looks like the move to put Mark Kotze in the lineup was a good one.
He's a pretty good bench player for you. Guy that's been around for quite a while, has played quite a bit. And here he helps his own cause with tonight. He's got 2 hits, a walk, been on base 3 times, an RBI.
Kotze, an everyday player for a long time.
That's it.
36 years of age. Played with Florida, San Diego, Oakland, Atlanta, Boston, White Sox.
Guy that's been an everyday player for a long time, but understands his role now as, you know, a bench player.
4 times every day, 4 years, everyday player, hit over 290 as an outfielder. Dangerous at bat here. Prince fielder, a couple runners aboard in the top of the 5th. Curveball from Carpenter, and it's a beauty. Down and away, just hit that outside corner, and that's the good breaking pitch from Chris Carpenter.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about. You keep on using that, and then you know, now he's starting to find that release point consistently, starting to get that ball where he wants it.
You repeat that pitch here. Why not? We got nasty on him, then got a little nastier.
Last 3 outs have been strikeouts. A couple base hits in between, but there you see him pull down on that curveball, and Prince went right over the top.
It's a big strikeout, Al.
And a real big strikeout.
Only the 5th inning, but anytime you can get fielder out with runners on base.
But you really just, you can't ease up at all, because Casey McGee he's hurt the Cardinals all season long.
Another curveball, swing and a miss.
Kind of feeling that pitch now, and like I said, he felt like that was such a big weapon for him in his last start. Looking forward to it tonight to use it. Didn't find the release point first couple innings, but he's found it right now.
There's a pickoff attempt at first. Watch out. That almost hit Kotze in the back.
Yeah, that could have been troublesome if it would have hit him and deflected away from Albert. But Yachty's picked off 39 guys in his brief career. And it's a timing play. That's a play between Albert. Look at Albert. He was not even looking.
How's he catch that?
Just had his head turned and everything else, because he was expecting it to hit the runner.
And it's in the dirt, gets away from Molina.
I'm sure that hit the plate or something, but kind of hard for us sometimes to see. We didn't know if it ever got to him, but that's hard for us to see from our vantage point. That bounced and went off the chest protector.
Yachty chose to glove that one instead of trying to smother it. Now 2 runners in scoring position. 3-1 on McGee. Be careful here, Al.
Absolutely. You got first base open. Don't want to just groove one. You had the base open.
Curveball, line drive right at the shortstop for call. Cardinals finally get a break. Cardinals fighting tonight, enjoying a 3-2 lead, bottom of the 5th inning. Chris Carpenter got off to a rough start in this game, giving up 2 Milwaukee Brewers runs early, but he has settled down, given up 7 hits. But he has managed to put zeros on the board, and he bats against Gallardo. Gallardo, we mentioned it earlier, but how good was he on May 7th against the Cardinals? 8 innings, 1 hit in that game. Daniel Descalzo broke up that no-hitter
in the 8th inning. Got off the 8th inning with that single, and Gallardo went. And that was his first victory in 5 decisions against the Cardinals, too.
What's amazing about that game, Al, is it was as good as the game we saw the night before when Jaime Garcia was perfect through 7.
Right.
Back-to-back nights we saw just outstanding pitching performances. There's Garcia with, I think that guy's name's Wainwright.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait to see him next season.
I'm with you.
Gallardo is doing what we were talking about. You know, really, defeating the end of the order.
Follow the Cardinals, Al, with the MLB.com @BAT11 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text @BAT to 31826 or visit Cardinals.com if you want more details.
Instead of Gallardo doing the last 3, he's doing the last 4.
For Carl Barnes is out 4-3. And Craig, Molina, Terrio, and Carpenter, the last 4 in the lineup, 0 for 8. As Al just said, damage coming from Carl's home run in the first, and Albert followed with a home run of his own. Cardinals, after an error by Felipe Lopez, they made that error hurt. John Jay reached on a fielder's choice. Could have been a double play, and then a couple of base hits later by Pujols and Berkman, and the Cardinals had the 3-2 lead. John Jay looking for his first hit of the night. He has scored a run. Average has dipped a bit, but 295 is still pretty darn good. Like the way he plays center field. I also like him in that second spot in the order.
Well, he's just fundamentally really sound and plays the game the right way. And if he's in this little tailspin, he's dropped to 295. He'll pick it up.
One more happy birthday wish. This one goes out to Jan Heaton from Dixon, Illinois. Happy birthday, Jan. And thanks for watching Cardinals baseball. Here's a line drive base hit, jammed a little bit, but who cares? Base hit for John Jay.
And he had sacrificed a bat. John yesterday was honored with the Heart and Hustle Award. That is from the Major League Baseball Alumni Association. Every team has a winner, and then they have an overall winner that will be named at a big dinner in New York City on, I believe it's November the 4th. But John was very appreciative and a very fine recipient of that award.
And nice that you had the honor of presenting it to him.
I just handed it to him, but
well, it's still nice, Al.
But I mean, it's an award that is voted on by all the alumni players, and and they kind of like when they give you a ballot, they only give you a ballot for in your area. So a lot of alumni keep it in pretty close eye, and you can tell they're knowledgeable in selecting John Jay.
At last count, I believe there's 71, and I have to ask Martin Coco about that number one more time. He works with the alumni group here with the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe 71 former Cardinals live in the area.
Great place to raise a family.
Albert at the plate. Swing and a miss. Wow. And to call that a swing and a miss would be an understatement.
Yeah, but you hope he didn't hurt himself. Can't say he's balanced through this swing. He gave it all he had.
Just a little late, it looks like.
Right.
He might have hit that to the city garden.
He might have.
The 1-2 to Albert. There goes Jay. Pitch is high. Throw to second base. Not in time.
How about that? It's the 6th stolen base. Not a good percentage, 6 out of 10. But right now he's in scoring position for Albert. Man on him. What a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
So Milwaukee's 1 pitch away from getting out Albert, and on 1 pitch things change in a hurry.
Absolutely. Got a man out there in scoring position. Albert.
Makes you at least wonder about how careful they're going to be with Albert.
Pretty much they've just gone right after him.
The 2-2 to Pujols.
Way outside. I was saying, you know, with all the talk before, you know, on Monday and Tony and everything saying don't pitch inside, it looked like, and Renicky saying, hey, we're going to pitch inside. You know, we've been effective. We've contained him by pitching inside. Tony worried about a pitch getting away, but they haven't thrown inside too often. They're going to try here.
Grounds it foul.
That's a good pitch. Swings at it, and clearly inside, but.
Now, there was a time where we were concerned about people running in front of Albert because you didn't want to leave first base open. With Berkman and Holiday, I think those days are just long gone.
Well, and also the fact that, you know, he's not swinging the bat like he did, you know, the first 10 years. Still great numbers, 28 home runs, 71 RBIs, but.
Here's a line drive base hit for Albert. John Jay rounds third. He's going to score, and it's 4-2 Cardinals. Albert with his 3rd hit of the night.
Now Albert's the happiest man in the world that they did run in front of with him at the plate. John Jay getting in scoring position, pays off, and Albert with his 72nd RBI. Berkman, he picked up his 76 earlier today. Look at that swing. Now that looks like Albert. Hits it so hard. John Jay just puts his head down. Now he looks, makes sure, sees no play. There's going to be a whole lot of money sitting over at first base, isn't there? This winter between Albert and Prince Fielder.
That's a $500 million right there at first base. That's a GNP of a small country right there.
Let's hope it's not ours in a few years. Oh boy.
2-0 to Berkman. Berkman's 1 for 2. He struck out. Single, drove in a run in the 3rd. The Berkman shift is on.
Shortstop right behind the second base bag. Third baseman well off the line. Berkman's RBI base hit is right where Betancourt, the shortstop, is playing right now.
This comes out from reams and reams of information. Of course, it's not paper anymore. There was a time there were actual hitting charts, but now it's all obviously computerized to where they know exactly where Lance Berkman hits the ball on the field. There's a spray chart, and that's how they defend against it.
Well, and also it's take it a step further where they will detail it against every pitcher.
And that's off a fielder's glove. Past Lopez. Pujols to third. Lance Berkman finds a hole in the right side of that infield and keeps this inning alive.
going off the glove of Prince Fielder. He deflected it to where Lopez had no chance to get it. Look where Lopez, the second baseman, is, but then deflected it right where he was and away from where he was going. So Albert's able to get over to third base. Running okay. You kind of wonder about that wild swing he had. That he
little slow rounding second.
Yeah, he knew he had plenty of time. He was still going to get there, but he's a little stepping a little gingerly. Big at bat for Dave Freese.
Chance to tack on.
David Freese is at a young age has shown the ability to drive in runs. There were 2 outs and now 3 straight singles and another run in for the Cardinals.
With a chance for more. Gallardo trying to become a 14-game winner, 13-7. That would be a career high for him. He won 14 games a year ago.
Milwaukee knew they had an ace in Gallardo. What they didn't have was anybody. The last couple of years been trying to find the pitching formula, go out and make trades, but they were very, very smart in the deals that they made for Markham and Greinke this year.
Go pitch here. Into dirt, gets away from the catcher. Here comes Albert. We may have a play at the plate, and there's no flip. And there's another Cardinal run. 5-2 Redbirds.
Wow, surprised, aren't you? Looked like it, as you said, looked like there was going to be a play there, but Lucroy didn't get the ball to his pitcher. Take that secondary lead. You see the separation. Albert's obsessed with scoring, and the catcher never got it to his pitcher.
Almost like he wasn't sure whether he was going to throw it overhand or underhand, then just kind of put it in his pocket.
And then didn't want to get his pitcher hurt.
Could be. 3-1.
And what was the, like you fielding your position on the pregame show?
You saw that. You were watching that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was me trying to tag out Jerry Royster at the plate. He stepped on my hand, Al, and he actually
tagged
my
him
hand
4 times, and he stepped on your hand, and
he was out 5 times. That was actually what I yelled at the umpire, Harry Wendell, said afterwards. How many times does this guy have to be out?
And you got a little upset. I was a little proud of you.
You know I had that in me, Al.
I just want.
You've seen me at Legends Camp.
Oh, but I want to see a little more of it. Already activity. Low warming up. They don't like what they've seen from their ace.
Curveball hit on the ground to second base, handled by Lopez. But the Cardinals have added on here in the 5th, picking up 2 more. Carpenter back to work for the 6th. Rockies in town, and they may in fact be in town right now.
They had a day game in Cincinnati, and I believe they lost 2-1. But they're a very good ball club. Plenty of seats available. We invite you to come on out.
.6:30 tomorrow, Fox Sports Midwest. Big series with the Rockies. 5:30 on Saturday.
And your schedule will say it's a 3:15 game, but it's been changed to a 6:15 start. But our broadcast will start at 5:30 with the pregame show.
And a big hello to Sue Lam, who is a great Cardinal fan at the ballpark tonight, along with a bunch of other people.
Start naming them all off.
Let's see. That guy's name is Joe. Well, Jack Clark is here.
We got Jack already.
How about that? That's kind of like Where's Waldo, isn't it? I mean, we just home run to right field, and there's Jack Clark. I mean, I didn't know he was here. Did you?
No. It's fitting it was a home run, too.
Jack the Ripper. What a great teammate. If he came up to you when you were on the mound and said, you can get this next guy out, you believe you could get that next guy out.
He'd break your neck.
No. You're kind of afraid of him, but in a good way.
I think, not too sure if my last year wasn't his first year. I remember facing him in San Francisco.
Great outfielder, really early in his career with a strong arm.
Great arm. And
It just misses the outside corner to Betancourt.
And as you said, one of the most feared hitters in his era.
And like McGuire and like Pujols and like Holiday now, he's one of those guys that when he took batting practice, people would stop and watch. The 3-2. Watch out. Base hit up the middle. Past Carpenter. And past Terrio.
3 straight hits for Betancourt. Yeah.
Leadoff runner aboard here for the Brewers. The next Family Sunday is August 14th. Cardinals and the Rockies. Again, 3 important games coming up this weekend. Good tickets available. All fans purchasing a regularly priced terrace level seat will receive a free Hunter hot dog and a Coca-Cola. Get your Sunday tickets today at Cardinals.com. Felipe Lopez, switch hitter, veteran. Very good with the bat. Really uses all fields, especially from the left side. Reached on the fielder's choice, and he's walked. Carpenter working in the 6th. He has been outstanding since a rough first inning.
Yeah, it was my last year. I just got the word that Jack was 3 for 6 with a home run against me. When that guy starts taking you deep, you know your career's over.
Ground ball to the left side for Cole. To Terrio, to Pujols. Double play. Third double play of the night turned by the Redbirds. This one 6-4-3.
Boy, that's been Carpenter's best friend, and here you go, the shovel pass. Terrio didn't have a lot on the throw, but Albert, with soft hands, picks it up before Lopez can get across the bag.
Close play.
It went the way it was supposed to go.
Let's not get into the umpires again tonight.
It's Jerry Davis, you know, crew chief over there.
No argument.
Never
though.
made a mistake.
No argument. But we had a little trouble at that first base bag last night. Tony La Russa not very happy with a particular call. But that was yesterday. How many times do you hear a baseball player, Al, over the course of the year? They may use it different phraseology, but the turn the page comment. I mean, that's the reality. That's the life they live in.
Sometimes it's easier than others to turn the page.
There's a bloop to center, and it's caught by Terrio. And Lucroy is going to have to turn the page. Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. And by the new Jumbo Breakfast Platter for just $2.99 at Jack in the Box at participating restaurants. So far, so good for the Cardinals. 5-2, bottom of the 6th inning. Perfect night for baseball. Cardinals trying to avoid the sweep here tonight, and our Chevy call to the bullpen is the right-hander, Cameron Lowe.
He's a big guy, appearing for the 57th time, ERA just over 4. 53 in the 3rd innings, 48 hits. He's had 6 straight scoreless appearances. 3-7 record with 1 save.
And I say it's the right-hander out, but that's kind of redundant when you're talking about the Milwaukee bullpen, because that's basically all they have out there.
Well, lefties right now has some injuries. Low 6'8", 240. 29 years of age, from California.
And as Al has said, the bottom of the Cardinals order looking for their first hit. Craig, Molina, Terrio, and Carpenter 0 for 8. Wild swing by Alan Craig. 54 games he missed. Exactly 1/3 of a season.
He had about 12 games on a rehab assignment trying to find a stroke. There's a little difference between big league pitching and AAA.
That's for sure.
He'll battle his way back.
Molina trying to get to 14 games. He has a ways to go to catch Dan Uggla. Braves are off tonight. Uggla at 31 straight games. And Molina's going to have to wait till his next turn. Out number 2. Our Schnooks this date in history, August 11th, 1907. We're going way back. Cardinal Ed Carger pitched a 7-inning perfect game, the second game of a doubleheader. The game was shortened by a prior agreement with the Braves.
Before the game, they said they were okay. The second game's only going to be 7 innings. Can we do that?
I don't think we're allowed anymore. I'm pretty sure.
But on getaway days, we flip a coin and say, okay, who wins?
You know, it's been a long time now, but I'm trying to remember the minor league level. If they play a doubleheader, do they still play 7-inning games?
Well, been a long time for me too. But
well, you probably weren't even in the minor leagues. You just went right out of high school to big leagues, didn't you?
I went to junior college, and I was very fortunate that I signed in June of one year, and in June of the next year I was in the big leagues.
Wow. That's how good Al Roboski was. Fireman of the year in 1975.
Or 1875.
75.
But then after that season, I had to go get in the reserves. So I missed most of the next year, going to basic training, summer camp.
2-out walk to Ryan Theriot. The Cardinals had some 2-out damage in the 5th inning. 3 hits in a row. John Jay, Albert Pujols, and Lance Berkman. Jay with a stolen base in the middle of that. And then Albert Pujols scored on a pass ball, actually a wild pitch. Carpenter swings and misses.
Maybe next inning, I'll tell you how my pitching coach prepared me for my one start in the big leagues. You know how Dave Duncan, you know, the detailed meetings and the process that they go through. This was it was just a couple words.
What did he say?
You already know how to pitch these guys, but Clemente, don't throw inside to Clemente. Don't even try and knock him down. He'll hit it for a rope. That was his advice.
That was it.
That was it.
You're on your own for the rest of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know where I learned how to get him out, but I already knew.
Your first start.
And then, you know, Clemente got a base hit off me in the first inning. He said, oh, I came in. He said, oh, for God's sake, don't throw me curveballs either.
Email the booth question. Brian in St. Charles. I like this question now. Which is the most unbreakable? 130 stolen bases, 56 game hitting streak, or 73 home runs? What say you, Al?
Well, it's a great question. And, you know, the managers are kind of taking over trying to control the running game, so 130 is going to be a real challenge. 56, I think, is almost impossible with the way relief pitching is today and the specialists. And so even though we haven't had anybody hit 50 for a while, I guess Prince Fielder was the last one to hit 50 and the youngest player to ever hit 50. I'd almost say the home runs.
The home runs would be the easiest.
It'd be the easiest. Well, Counsell was, what, 0 for 45, and he got a base hit the other day, and now he's 2 for 2. See, strikes follow strikes, or streaks follow streaks.
You're right.
But right back up the middle. Carpenter's follow through was to the first base side, and we felt bad for Counsell when we saw him in Milwaukee.
Oh. He had just tied a major league record since 1900. 3 guys had been 0 for 45. There's a good pitch from Carpenter. And a big inning for him here, facing Corey Hart at the top of the order. Hart 1 for 3, scored a run in that 2-run Brewer first inning. Brewers' offense has been silent since then. And you also think about the fact that there's a pretty decent hitter on the bench for Milwaukee that they may use in later innings in Ryan Braun.
Braun just getting the day off and didn't have a lot of success against Carpenter, but really wasn't like the way he was swinging last couple days. So they said, you know, he was scheduled to have a day off this week, and they said, why not take it today? But he is available to pinch hit. How about Carpenter, the way he's gutted his way through this ball game? Benefited from the 3 double plays, but that was 3 good pitches he made to get that ball on the ground. He's at 100 pitches right now.
Pretty good location there. Just misses down and in.
See Fox tracks, it's borderline. But as a pitcher, you want that pitch.
You bet you do.
Especially when they don't swing.
So we've had a 5-4-3, a 4-6-3, and a 6-4-3. So now we need a double play started by either Albert or Carpenter. Something different.
I was thinking Carpenter. Corey Hart, we started out the show saying success he's had against Carpenter. He was 4 for 13, so now he's 5 for 16. He gets it.
Now a tough hitter to double up. Niger Morgan is 1 for 3. Aaron Cook and Kyle Loesch in game 1 of the Rockies series.
Takes a long walk all the way around the grass area behind home plate. I wonder if he's just kind of surveying the third baseman. Always have to wonder if he's going to drop down a bunt.
Ground ball to second. Terrio to Furcal. On to first. Double play number 4 for the Cardinals here tonight. Chris Carpenter keeps rolling them. Time to stretch. Live music, player appearances. August 12th, that's tomorrow. Mitchell Boggs. For details, visit Cardinals.com/promotions. Call to the bullpen. Frankie De La Cruz.
He was just called up today. It looks like he was a starter at AAA Nashville. 7-6, 3.88 ERA. 25 games, 23 starts. And he has pitched at the major league level with Detroit, Florida, and San Diego, but only 15 lifetime major league appearances, 1 start, and does not have a decision. Originally signed by Detroit, non-drafted free agent. This is why they call him Frankie.
Because his other name is
that's your tier.
This is Spanish now. I should know this, right?
Yes.
Eulogio. Eulogio. We're going to call him Frankie. Frankie it is. Out number 1.
A little too hard and misdirection. So he records out of Recall, who hit a home run to lead off the Cardinals after they were down 2-0.
Frankie De La Cruz, and then Frankie is spelled Eulogio. You're still working on that, aren't you?
I-O-L-O-E-O.
That sounded Japanese, Al.
Well, he did play for the Swallows.
Oh, maybe it is.
Called Swallows the Japanese League. That's where he played last season. We're getting closer.
Oh, dude. Swung on and missed.
So far, they haven't hit him.
Every Thursday on FoxSportsMidwest.com, we'll bring you the Farm Report. Brian Walton checks in on the prospects in the Cardinals farm system, and there's certainly a lot of them. Head to FoxSportsMidwest.com for the Farm Report to find out how the young players are doing. Albert Pujols has had quite a night.
Don't stop now. Young man is from San Domingo, so it's got to be a real thrill for him to face Albert.
Good fastball in on the hands of Albert. He's 3 for 3. Solo home run in the first and a couple of base hits. He's hit the ball hard 3 times. And Albert now at 282. I believe his high water mark was 283.
I know that he was at 283 at one time.
Don't know if he got higher than that, but I'm still not so sure 300's not a possibility. Probably have to hit 370 the rest of the way, something like that.
I think even higher than that. But his life impossible to get to his career average of 330. Nothing's impossible, but you have to hit what, 600 or 700.
Quarter of the season left. I'm going to do some quick math, Al. While Albert hits this line drive. And it gets past the right fielder and it goes to the wall. Hart makes his first error of the year. And Albert is on third base. 4 for 4 night for Albert Pujols.
Well, we'll see how they score that. Because Hart was going in for the catch. I mean, it bounced in front of him. And then it gets by him. So, I mean, it's a single and E9, just as you said.
Single, E9. And my quick math tells me the last quarter of the season, roughly, if Albert hits 360, he bats 300.
And that is doable for Albert.
Line drive, one hopper, handled by Felipe Lopez. What a night for Albert Pujols. 4 for 4. Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Bank of America, where ATM deposits are as easy as an infield fly. No deposit slip, no envelope with Bank of America. Member FDIC. And by AT. The news is good so far from St. Louis. 5-2 Cardinals.
And how about Carpenter, your ace, and he showed up here tonight.
He really has. Must admit I was a little worried about him in the first inning, Al.
Well, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs in the first inning, but benefiting from 4 double plays, he's kept them off the board since then.
Oh, 2 on Mark Kotze. He hasn't retired Kotze yet. He's 2 for 2 with a walk.
Kotze and Betancourt, he's got him this time.
Easy play for Terrio. When the Cardinals are turning so many double plays, there's really kind of a shared credit. The pitcher has to throw the pitch to make it happen, but then the defense has to finish the job.
Absolutely. And you know, he's scattered 9 hits, so you have to have a man on base and the opportunity, but you know, the tight defense, they've been very good for him. Put the shift on Prince.
There's your 4 infielders. Terrio, very deep second base. And interesting that the infield is so shifted to the right, but the outfield is not.
No. Just charts must show he hits, you know, maybe a slight pull. Alan Craig's off the line and left, but pretty much straight away in the outfield. Of course, he has power to all fields. But if he's going to hit the ball in the infield, he has a tendency to pull it. We've seen this shift on a lot of left-handers that it's worked sometimes, and other times it's worked against it.
Not sure what this is about.
No. Calling the crew chief over. Something in their dugout. Something. It's the third base umpire that initiated this conference. Ron Renicky, I think he's talking to him and saying probably that's about enough.
Renicky doesn't seem to be too agitated, but
but
really don't have any idea what they're talking about.
No, but he's not the kind of guy that gets really too excited one way or the other.
Right. Again, reminding us of his mentor in some ways, Mike Scioscia. 11 years with the Angels.
And once again, we personally give a lot of credit to the success of the Brewers is Ron Renicky and his staff. Obviously, they had the talent, but they've had this talent minus Markham and Greinke for quite a few years, but they're putting it together now.
There's a line drive to left field, left center, and it's run down by John Jay. We have a report from the Milwaukee broadcast, and they have some connections on this one now. They believe that Nigel Morgan was actually yelling from the bench at Chris Carpenter, and third base umpire had heard enough of that and didn't think that was appropriate and told him to cut it out.
It's either T. Plush can keep on doing it, but Nigel can't, or vice versa.
Base hit for Casey McGee. That's his first hit. And I'm a little ambivalent about that one, Al, because
it used to be part of the game.
Used to be part of the fun of the game, I must say.
I don't think you ever had George Kissel travel with your team.
No, he would come as a guest instructor.
Yeah, there were times when George would travel with us, and I can remember old Jerry Park and him just screaming at Tim Foley and going cuckoo, yeah. Cuckoo. He'd make it out, and of all people, George Kissel, in his 70s, making fun and bench jockeying.
We had some teammates. You'd have had to put a muzzle on Tom Lawless.
Yeah, of all people, Tom Lawless.
He was good at it, though. I mean, really good.
Yeah, there's over the years
bench jockeying. That's what we called it.
Yeah.
It wasn't personal, really. It was more funny. Well, but it was funny though. I guess. I don't know. Hard to really defend it, but it certainly changed in this game.
And I mean, I knew people yelled and screamed and said everything about me. Jason Mott and Kyle McClellan running out said all kinds of things to me, but I was in my own world. I shut it all out and didn't hear a thing.
As you mentioned, Al, Carpenter has yet to retire Yuniesky Betancourt. He's 3 for 3, and we should say there are some folks that call him Yuniesky and others call him Unieski, and if you ask him, he will say both, depending upon which day it is. So
yes.
Even the Milwaukee broadcasters call him both because he's not sure. So we're going to go with Yuniesky.
You got it.
How's that explanation?
Betancourt is 3 for 3.
And the pitcher of record is Eulogio de la Cruz.
The shoulder pad, part of the padding on Yachty's chest protector.
We saw this last week.
Knocked it off right there. Better to have the pad go off than your shoulder.
That is very true, Al. But now it's unprotected.
Good. Give Carpenter some credit. If Nigel Morgan was screaming at him, you know how
he didn't
react at all and never looked over there. And Carpenter's in his zone doing what he has to do.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out Betancourt. Carpenter. A solid 8 innings of work, and the fans love it here at Busch Stadium. 5-2 Cardinals going to the bottom of the 8th. Presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. And just a few moments ago, Al.
Yeah, this third base umpire Mike Estabrook that was the one that was objecting to Nigel Morgan. So they had a little conversation. They talked a little bit, and seemed like at the end Nigel kind of said, "Okay, I agree with you."
Reasonable conversation. Watch out for the bat. New pitcher is Tim Dillard. One pitch, one out. He retires David Freed.
Dillard has been recalled twice this season by Milwaukee, pitching for the third time in his second recall. From Nashville, Tennessee, 27, 6'4", 223. Overall in the year, 18th time, 4.50 ERA, strikeout per inning.
Alan Craig was 0 for 3 last night in his first game back. 0 for 3 tonight. Facing the sidearm pitcher, Tim Dillard.
Yeah, drops down there, but these two may have faced each other at AAA. Pacific Coast League hitters batted .204 against Dillard.
Cardinals' plan, Al, in this series, obviously they would have loved to have swept the Brewers. Plan B, pretty good plan, would be to win 2 out of 3 and at least pick up a game. But after losing the first 2, they had their hopes on Chris Carpenter here tonight, and so far so good. Tough one handled by Fielder. He better hurry, and he gets Craig.
Nice play by Prince, and pitcher over there covering.
Been a well-played ball game here. Coming up right after the conclusion of this game, Missouri Lottery Cardinals live post-game show.
Salas is warming up. I think Carpenter has done his job for the night. You see the Cardinal closer.
Pat Paris and Cal Eldred from Lumiere will have our post game for us. 38,302. That's the crowd here tonight. Another nice crowd. Cardinals hoping, Al, for big support this weekend too, with the Rockies in town.
Yeah, the Rockies, good ball club, and got a lot of star power on that roster. Plenty of seats available. And as important as this game is here, tomorrow night they're important too. Got to knock off the Rockies.
Swing and a miss. Saturday night, and we haven't mentioned this very much, but really a special night. Christian night at the ballpark, which is an annual night that the Cardinals have had. You're going to hear from a lot of the Cardinal players and some Rocky players as well after the game. And again, that's a 6:15 start time on Saturday. Adam Wainwright, the featured speaker this year. Last year was Tony Dungy. Did a fantastic job. Had a chance to meet him and spend the night with him. Just did a great job. And Wainwright, pitch outside to Molina. And we look forward to hearing from Adam Wainwright on Saturday. 2-2 to Yadier Molina. Hit streak on the line here. Come on, Yadi. Ground ball up the middle. Base hit for Yadier Molina.
Extends that hitting streak to 14 games. And hopefully we can say that for many more days.
17 behind Dan Ugler right now. Way to go, Yadi.
Ugler, I think it ties the second longest in Braves history, Rico Carty, and then it's a player from many years earlier that has it at something like, what is it, about 15 more games, something like that.
Still pretty amazing. to get to 30
more
is
for Ugly. He's not the type of guy that you think of.
No, not at all. Swing and a miss for Theriot. He's 0 for 2. He's flown out twice and walked. In the lineup because he'd had nice numbers against Giovanni Gallardo, and now you mentioned very good defense yesterday, and Theriot's been a part of a lot of double plays here tonight.
Very true. Patterson is at the on-deck circle if needed. Yeah, Dillard could be tough on right-handed batters the way he drops down.
Big moment of this game, Al, taking us back a little bit, that 5th inning when John Jay stole a base with 2 outs, nobody on. He got a base hit first of all, then he steals second on a 1-2 pitch to Albert, and the whole inning changed from there.
And Albert drove him in, and Albert was able to score on a wild pitch
after Berkman hit him to third. All that with 2 outs.
2 outs.
So instead of a 3-2 game, it became a 5-2 game, and it's just had a much better feel since then. Not that you've got a lot of breathing room. You still have to deal with a pretty potent Brewers lineup in the top of the 9th inning, but 5-2 is a lot better than 3-2. Ground ball just foul.
Just curved right at the bag, right before the bag.
You know, we should give some credit, as we saw Mark McGwire. We'll take one more look at this foul ball. Just barely foul. Seeing, look at that, by an inch. Mark McGwire talking to Albert Pujols on the bench. Probably not enough credit to Mark McGwire. He does it all day long. Talks hitting. That's what he does. He and Mike Aldrete both talking hitting all day long with these Cardinals. They lead the National League in batting. The Cardinals are #1. Their strikeouts are down. Their walks are up. Their approach has been very good all year long.
And he was the target for a lot of criticism last season. Unwarranted.
So let's give him some credit.
A lot of credit this year.
On to the 9th. Cardinals 3 outs away from avoiding the sweep. Our Nissan drives of the game. Came in the 1st inning. The first one, Rafael Furcal, 405 feet down the right field line. Then Albert Pujols, same distance, different place. Cardinals tied the score in the 1st inning with those 2 blasts. And they added a run in the 3rd and 2 more in the 5th. And now Fernando Salas will try to nail it down.
Fernando is currently riding 7 consecutive scoreless appearances. Earned his 20th save last Thursday in Florida. It was the 27th 20 save season in St. Louis history. It's his third save of more than one inning. All of those are on the road, and all we asked for 3 outs here.
Multiple defensive changes for the Cardinals. Schumacher is in right field. Patterson in left field.
Scalzo at third.
Added defense for Fernando Salas. Looking for save number 22. And that pitch just misses to Felipe Lopez. He'll face Lopez, Lucroy, and a pinch hitter.
Ball, 2 strikes. We've seen Salas just unflappable, very confident, just goes about his business. Got a great changeup. We're going to see it here.
And it works. Strikes out Lopez.
You want the ball down, preferably down and away. You can see the just sinking action. Didn't make the team out of spring training. Didn't do anything to not make it, but it basically said he could only pitch 1 inning. Well, we've seen him pitch multiple innings, but what we've really seen him do is close out games.
But nice to get that first batter with Ryan Braun looming.
Ryan Braun is on deck.
Brewers could have made this game a little interesting in a hurry. You get a couple runners on and have him coming off the bench. Still more work to do for Salas.
Cardinals have done a pretty good job of containing Ryan Braun this series, or this season. But Milwaukee's done a great job of containing Albert prior to today.
How about all that extra batting practice that Albert took?
Albert Molina came out, took that. You see, I just looked down. I saw that ball look like went off his right shoulder, but he's got his pad back. So it's a good thing he got that.
Little duct tape, probably.
Yeah.
Super glue.
I think it's Velcroed anyway. Fastball away. A good spot. Another shot to it.
That's why you need it.
That's almost like a couple of them on this at bat. Comes a changeup. Got that one up, but it was up enough to where didn't leave it to where it was still effective. Not your prototypical closer or what we come to think of as a closer, but he sure has been effective. Got him accentuating, keep the ball down on the changeup. Somehow he took that one right off the ground. Forget the gutsy performance by Carpenter to get us to this point. Fastball away.
And a swing and a miss. 2 strikeouts for Salas. The Brewers down to their last batter. Our player of the game, our Budweiser player of the game, Cardinal first baseman Albert Pujols. 4 for 4. Home run, 3 other hits. All 4 at-bats, hit the ball very hard, and the Cardinal fans are excited here at Busch.
Pulled back Braun and nobody on, and it's Picaris. Backup catcher. Another great attribute about Salas is he doesn't walk anybody. Usually has a pretty efficient pitch count, so he could go multiple innings. And more importantly for a closer, it allows him to come back the next day. Has fallen behind the count here. I've seen that a couple times where the third out gets a little exciting.
Close pitch there doesn't go his way. 3-0 to Kataris. Corey Hart bats next. Pops him up. Terrio has it. And the Cardinals take the final game of the series, avoiding the sweep. Time for the postgame show. It's coming up next. Cardinals 5, Milwaukee 2.